What's up guys, Chasing Labour here with episode number 15 of our Williams Racing F1 Manager 22 career mode, and we are going to the third round of our second season in Australia in 11 days time. Now if you did see the last episode, you'll know that Théo Pourchaire is very much on the chopping block. He keeps having crashes, lots of crashes. He's not finishing races very often and he keeps hitting Piastri, so we're not terribly happy with him right now. We had a little bit of a thought about what we were going to do with him, and I think the plan is we're going to give him until the halfway mark in the season at about Hungary, like you would do in real life. Give him half the season, see if the extra car developments we've got coming in are going to help him in any way, shape or form. We've got a new chassis coming in before Australia, so hopefully that will help us out a little bit. If he's not showing any signs of improvement, I think we're bringing in Valtteri Bottas. I think that's the plan. But we can move forward because we did everything we needed to for this day at the end of last episode. We said we've got a new regulations vote coming in. We've got a new design on a chassis complete, which we're going to have to emergency a couple of them, I think, just to make sure that comes in, does the business for us. We've got an important email. Low stock on suspension number 1. I don't think we're going to be using suspension number 1. We'll have a little look in the warehouse, but I have a feeling we're probably on suspension number 2. But I haven't built a new suspension yet. We're going to build one of those. I will build 2 of those. We do still have Pourchaire in the car. Once that design's complete, though, I think I'm going to do a suspension, so we're not going to worry massively. What was the other part there? It was just saying we need to get designed and built. I was just saying low suspension. Doesn't need 2 emails, is it, Michael? Doesn't really need 2 emails. I figured from the first one we were low on stock. I know we've got 2 cars. I'm smart like that because I can count. We've refurbished the helipad. That's pretty strong. We need that. We're happy to say the helipad's been refurbished. That's going to help us get more sponsor money, which is always a benefit for us. And our design has been complete on the brand new chassis. We're going to do the manufacture in just a second because I need to put the money into designing the new suspension first. And the chassis we can go into debt a little bit on if we need to, so that's not a huge issue. Vote for minimal regulation changes, moderate regulation changes to technical regulation. Let's see what's going on here. One will affect the chassis. We're going to go minimal. I think not going minimal is a mistake, so we'll just go minimal regulation changes and hope for the best. And we'll go and do a car part design on the new suspension because that's... We're already designing it? We're already designing a new suspension. I knew that. I was testing. I didn't need to build those suspensions at all. Excellent. Okay, what's going to give us the big gains then? I think. Let's have a look at where we are rank-wise. I think we're still working on that low-speed cornering is going to be our big design effort at the moment. So we're going to stick what's left of our hours and all of that into this design. We do a design focus on a lower speed performance basis, and if that genuinely pushes us up to 9th, we'll be laughing. I think that's okay. We'll go with the preset. We'll put 3 engineers on it. Do I need to rush that? In the next track that's a lot of slow corners is Monaco, which calculations should be after that anyway, so can't afford to do it intense. We'll do a normal. A normal will do us. That'll be fine. Just one more iteration. Once we start getting a bit more cash coming in, we can do something about that. And then we need to build some of those chassis, which is going to be quite important. And we are going to have to go into debt to do this, unfortunately. So, maybe we won't. It's 10 days, though. 10 days, Australian Grand Prix in 4 days. I'm going to rush to... that's tight. That's quite tight. Okay. We're going to have to emergency 2 of them. 3 to be on the safe side. It's going to take us into a little bit of debt. But once we get some more money, we'll build some more. That's the plan. That's mad. We'll do it anyway because why not? We're not going to be outside of the cost cap, so we should be fine. We've got a sponsorship obligation, which hopefully brings in a little bit of cash, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And then we're away free for the Aussie Grand Prix. So, performance targets this weekend, I think reaching Q3 should be a guaranteed. And I think if we can add some qualifying position guarantees, I want us to reach Q3 anyway. So if we say we can qualify in 10th for that reward, I think we'll be okay. 500k coming in there. Finish position, we've got a guarantee above 4th. I think that's pretty achievable. Actually, I might tag a fastest lap on there because I know we can do a fastest lap. So we'll go big. We'll go for the whole shebang. What's in our inbox? It's going to be a race preview on the Aussie Grand Prix, race prep. I need to look at the race prep in a second, actually, just so we can see where we're at. Xiao Yusheng is recommended as a driver, and I mean, we'll take a look at him once we've got a scout free, because we don't right now. I know we are scouting 3 drivers. We are. Alonso, Norris, and Bottas were the options we looked at, and I think it is going to be Bottas because Norris isn't getting many results at the moment. And Alonso, I think, will probably retire at the end of the season, is sort of the thought process I've got with that one. So I'm going to go to qualify. I'm going to stick David Schumacher in Porsche's car because it's time to start building him up as a replacement long-term for Porsche. And I think we'll see you for the race. So we're back and qualifying is over, and Piastri has got himself a nice 5th place on the grid, although he does have a 3-place grid penalty, which is because he crashed twice in qualifying, which was nice of him. Teo Porsche just had a really bad run in, or bad luck in Q2. I sent him out with the rest of the cars as they left the garage, and none of them made it across the finish line, which feels like a glitch. But we'll go with that. It's fine. We are looking okay for the race, I think, an 8th and 11th place grid spot. And we're going to skip over this because we know what it's going to say at this point. We are in Melbourne, Australia. There is going to be some weather. We're looking at light rain is kind of the expected forecast for this one, which is, survivable, I suppose, if we're going to put it in any way, shape or form, in any terms. Let's have a little look at when the rain is going to come, and it looks like we're looking for rain somewhere around lap 13, which tells me we may have to build our own strategy here. I think we're probably going to go start on a set of softs. Feels like the key starting point for this one. Maybe not. Okay, we're going to start on a set of mediums, but we're going to burn the hell out of them. How's that for a plan? That should work just about. Alright, we'll do that for the first stint. For the second stint, we're looking at around lap 13, which sounds about right. And I think we're looking at, we'll say 5 laps of heavy rain. So we're going to call that 7 laps of heavy rain. I think that's going to be a play it by ear, but we'll plan to go on to inters, and then we'll do a second stint on inters just beyond that. I think that's roughly the plan that we need to go with. So we'll go inters on a medium kind of thing. That should work. We'll tweak it in just a second just to make sure we're getting the best out of those tyres. I guess that'll work. Somewhere there's got to be a plan here that goes with one of those being, the longest inters run is going to be, I've pressed the wrong button. The longest inters run is going to be probably that middle stint, you would think. So I think actually what we're going to do is going to pull that back. One day I'm going to learn where these buttons are. We're going to do that because I think we're going to be able to burn a lot of inters with the heavier rain and should be alright. That's the current plan. We'll go with that one for Piastri. And I think we're looking at something fairly similar for Teo because, actually, let's try something a little bit different. Let's go with a good hard first stint on the softs because he does look after his tyres better. We're going to again assume lap 13 because he should have some tyres left. That looks okay. And then we will just do the inters to Inter's strategy. I think, again, are we looking at maybe a slightly harder push in that second stint, just to make that rain period go, and then that should work. We'll play it by ear from there. We could get some safety cars, we could get some extra stuff that's going to make us tweak that strategy anyway. So that should work out okay, and hopefully Teo will get a couple of spots off the line, which will help us out even more, which is good. So we'll go fuel actually. We'll look at the fuel. That will work. Driving options, we're looking for a hard start and a heavy fuel usage, and we're going to use as much of our overtake as we can just to try and get Piastri off the line as quick as possible. We'll do likewise with Teo, because I'm not going to push him from the start, but we'll do that. I know it seems like we've added a lot of fuel. It's all in the plan. That's all part of the plan. I know we're going to save some when it starts raining, so I know we can afford to go negative on fuel as well, which is not a huge problem, and we're ready to go on the grid. So hopefully what we're about to witness is something fairly special. That would be the ideal thing to happen here. So we're almost ready to go. Lights should be going out shortly. David Cross giving his usual spiel. And we begin race one of Teo Pourchaire's attempt to save his Formula 1 career, because I think if I release him, he's probably not getting another drive, if we're completely honest. It's probably not going to happen for him. I think, though, we'll ride on board with Teo, because I think he's going to have a far more interesting opening stint, which is exactly what I'd say if I was expecting Piastri to have a far more interesting opening stint. But we'll worry about that later. He's the only man on soft tyres, which could play very much in his favour. But of course, Piastri, home race, looking to become a home hero. It's been a long time since an Australian won the Aussie Grand Prix, so that's worth noting. Pourchaire already up a position, which is good. I guess we should probably go off board for this, actually, because that's going to be a little bit more interesting. He's riding on the back of Ocon. Let's get the intervals back up, because that's going to tell us a lot more than riding on board, you would think, at this stage. Although, to be fair, we could witness a pass on board here. It's looking like he's going to go for it straight away. Piastri has gained a position on Lewis Hamilton, which is good. And now he's chasing down potentially, or he was, because Hamilton has passed me on, but he's looking to chase potentially his teammate for the second half of the season in Valtteri Bottas, which could be interesting. But Pourchaire up into 9th, points, remember, start at 8th place. So it's going to be all about making sure we get into a good position before the rain starts coming down, because if we don't, we could be in a lot of trouble. As the battle between Piastri and Hamilton continues ahead, I think we're going to switch to the Piastri view, go off board, because this could go a long way. I think the battle might be over now I've switched. He might have finally conquered the battle, although Pourchaire taking the fastest lap, which is something I had promised before the race, remember. I do think we can take a fastest lap. I don't think it's anywhere outside the realms of possibility. So we should be in good shape, and now he gets to start chasing down Bottas. Key thing here is going to be for me to keep an eye on the ERS deployment, though, because I don't want anyone to run out. I think I want to be able to get us into a sensible neutral at around 30%, just to give us the option of pushing a little bit as the rain starts coming down. Pourchaire is rapidly getting there. Piastri uses his ERS significantly better than his teammate does, it has to be said, and ultimately, that could be what's costing Pourchaire positions, but I'm not quite sure how to teach him to make better use of that ERS deploy, because it doesn't feel like it's a trainable attribute. We are slowly dropping Hamilton. Bottas, though, is slowly getting dropped. We need to get past him as soon as we can under DRS, which I presume happens on the second straight, but I can never remember on this track. It might be we have to wait until we come out of turn 11. Either or, answer on a postcard. Pourchaire, I've just missed him running out of ERS, so we'll put him onto neutral now. Hopefully he'll start regaining that. Piastri, I will remember to put him onto the neutral mode for ERS. and DRS is enabled. So we're on board with Pourchaire now, because Pourchaire has just overtaken Hamilton. I missed that, so we're going to watch the replay, see what happens, but hopefully our boys are going to keep making some progress at the field. Nice simple pass into the final corner, which I think is turn 15 off the top of my head. Either way, we've done well. We are firmly in the points with both drivers now, and we should be able to keep on moving ourselves forward. The team are looking excited, which is always good. Everyone applauding that overtake. Théo Pourchaire must have heard my message that, buddy, you may not have long with this team if you keep driving the way you've been driving. But we're in a good position now, I think. We're looking okay. Piastri, lots of ERS to play with if I need it later in the race, which, you know, once we get past Bottas, there's going to be a time where I'm going to use that, because Bottas is dropping rapidly behind Alonso in a car that honestly we should be catching. Let's go on board with Oscar just to see if he looks like making a move. We're going to go into the first, what I assume is the first DRS zone, because I didn't see the wing open on that straight coming out of turn 2. So it should open up here, and hopefully we should make easy work of Bottas here. Bottas is clearly using some defend, but you think we get through. We are on the outside. That's a great move. That's a great move. That's all she wrote, probably. Probably we'll leave some room. We are going to leave some room. We should get that done here. This should be job done through this turn, and we should seal the deal here. Although Bottas might actually get the DRS here, because he was behind. And so he's going to pull Pourchaire through. And now we've got an interesting battle where hopefully we can send our drivers after Bottas, which should be good. Are we going to get DRS here? I don't think we are. But Pourchaire will. Pourchaire is through, and Pourchaire almost having a look at Bottas himself. We do need our drivers to maybe not hit each other for the first time in their careers. That would be nice. Don't like having them racing alongside each other. There's not really much I can do about it at this point. I can tell them not to fight, but what will end up happening is they'll both drop back off of Bottas. I've learned that lesson the hard way, and I don't want to do that today. So it's 50-50, very catch-22. Essentially, they're both going to get DRS, and with the way they're driving right now alongside each other, we might even swarm Bottas coming out of the DRS zone, get ourselves ahead. We can hopefully position Piastri to block for Pourchaire, although neither of them's making the move, which is very frustrating. Got to think we've got to make that move down the home straight, otherwise we have wasted our entire race. I think it might be time to tell young Pourchaire to harvest his ERS. We'll give Piastri priority for now. It won't be for long. We'll give him priority for now. DRS open for both drivers. Let's go on to the off-board cam, because you've got to think there's a 3-wide move coming here. Surely, Piastri's pushing through. Pourchaire has pulled out, which is not the time to pull out, my friend. If ever there was such a time to pull out, that was not it. Pourchaire going to have a go now, but Hamilton also having a look up the inside of him, so he might lose a place there. Pourchaire, I think I can switch back into neutral now. He's done some harvesting, and hopefully we can start having this fight properly with Hamilton on level terms, because if we don't, he's going to leave us behind. Meanwhile, Piastri is using his pace to catch up with Alonso. There is danger that Piastri is going to leave Bottas behind, which in turn means he'll leave Pourchaire behind. I guess we'll go on board with Pourchaire because he has the most to gain here, and otherwise, frankly, we're not going to see what happens otherwise. So we've got DRS open. Bottas has taken a wide line. We'll cut inside for this little kink. And again, Pourchaire has failed to make the move happen. And this is Pourchaire's biggest issue. He can be quick, really good at saving his tyres, but he's really, really bad when it comes to actually overtaking people. I'm going to drop to aggressive with Piastri because I need to buy him that little bit of extra time. Otherwise, he is going to be in trouble because Pourchaire is somehow not using up his softs quite as fast as Piastri is using up those mediums, and that's a concern. So, another DRS burst for Pourchaire here. Can he get through? Make it stick. That's what we're looking for. I mean, unfortunately, Bottas does have the DRS on or from Piastri, which tells me it might be a time to take a little risk, do a deploy with Piastri. We'll switch him back to attack mode on these tyres, and hopefully he can start to pull away. We're going to have a little off-board because there we go. Now we're clear of DRS. Porsche should have a more fighting chance of getting something out of this. We'll go neutral for Piastri on the ERS as well. And now we've pulled him away from Bottas. Hopefully Porsche can get himself through, and we're going to need to just have a burst of ERS from both guys just to get them both as far from Bottas as we can. We can start chasing down Alonso on level terms, which is what we need to be doing. Let's zoom forward because, you know, until we're actually in a DRS zone, we're not going to see it. Porsche now, DRS wide open, just needs to push that little bit more, get himself down the inside. He's gone for the look, under braking. Can he do it? He's gone in very late for the turn-in, but he should be able to get it done here under DRS, should pull away. We should be looking pretty kosher. And now we just need for Porsche to sit that second behind Piastri if he can, because we just need those guys to get a second on Bottas as fast as we can, because if we start playing leapfrog here, it is all over. And I mean, Alonso is keeping up with the leaders, which is somewhat miraculous because Ocon is doing absolutely nothing behind us to make any inroads on Hamilton. So we're looking okay. It is all kind of on Piastri at this point, who does need to start properly looking after his tyres. Otherwise, he's going to be in real trouble, and that's not a thing we can afford to have happening. We're still burning through the fuel as well, which again, maybe not the ideal, but we're getting there. I think we're going to zoom ahead a little bit because Bottas shouldn't have the pace. It looks like wet weather is coming soon. We knew that was going to be a thing. It's just a case of when the rain starts falling. Because when the rain starts falling, that's time to really push on the tyres. Otherwise, it's going to get wet almost immediately on lap 13. I just don't know if I push these tyres if they're going to make it to lap 13. Let's get a tyre update. We are on the curve to get both drivers in where they need to be in, is what I'm saying right now. I think maybe actually Porsche can do a little bit of a push, but I don't want to push it too far. We'll maybe do another lap. Maybe get to the end of lap 10 and then we'll start seeing about doing that push, because otherwise I know for sure neither driver is making it to the wet. There is a yellow flag in sector 3. That is a Haas. I can't see which Haas because Piastri is on the radio. Kevin Magnussen's had a spin. Let's see what's going on with Big Kev at the back. Big Kev has just binned it coming out of that corner. Need a better camera angle on that, but essentially the entire field has passed him by, which is not going to make the Haas garage terribly happy. And I mean, they weren't really fighting for much. But it's not brought a safety car, which is good, although we're having a look down the inside from Bottas. Not what I wanted, not the one there from Valtteri. Valtteri's probably got a call saying there is rain coming, give it a push, boy. So we're going to go aggressive as well, see if we can get that place back before we all come into the pit. I'm quite happy with the gap at the moment between Piastri and Bottas, because Piastri and Porsche, because neither driver should lose a lot of time in the pit. I think we're going to take a risk, go full attack, because I think even with that slight wear on the mediums, we're probably going to get a little more out of them than we would by going on to the softs early. So we're just going to go push there. In fact, there's probably the same argument to be made on the soft. We're not going to get to that just yet. We should be okay. We should push past here. We should look good. It's just a case of waiting for that couple of minutes for the rain to start falling. Of the drivers who started on mediums, it's got to be said, Piastri is doing a far worse job on his tyres, but I have been pushing them till the end. I don't know why everyone else isn't milking their tyres, but I also don't know why that we're not catching up because we're milking those tyres so much. It's a really complicated thing. I don't really understand it. The AI strategy, I would have put more work into those tyres. I know they've got a good gap, a 5.5 second gap, but I'd have put more work into those tyres and got further ahead if that was me. I think Alonso really should be pushing his tyres because he could have made a couple of places up, probably could have been leading this race as the pit stops start. It's almost like the AI still doesn't thoroughly understand how rain works, which is disappointing. Rain has started. Okay, boys. That, my friends, is time to give it that big push, get ourselves into the pits as fast as we can. I think that's going to go to big rain by lap 13, but even so, in fact, you know what, we're not going to gamble. No gambling here, boys. We're going to go onto the inters, nice and early. Jobs are good. That should give us some time. Hopefully, the double stack shouldn't cost us too much time. It's going to cost Piastri a position. I would think maybe 2, maybe 3. But I think actually the McLarens are going to have to double stack, and so are the Alpha Tauris. I mean, it's not. The Alpines might. Or they're just out of double stack range. It's fine. We should at least get something out of this. So let's make sure we're maximising all of our opportunities here. Getting the big push out of these tyres. Get ourselves in as quick as we can. I know it's going to go to full wet. In fact, you know, I just had that Martin Blundell thought of better to be on the right tyre at the right time. And better to be on the right tyre at the right time could play in our favour. I could be throwing the race away here. I'm not going to split the strategy. That's not worth it. I think we're going to see quite quickly what the other drivers are doing. In fact, let's go on to tyres as a screen, just so we can see what the decision-making process looks like from the big boys, because I feel like Sainz and Leclerc are going to come in. Certainly one of them's got to come in. It's getting very wet there to the point where cars are hardly moving. So I have to have that thought that someone's got to make a decision. Sainz, Verstappen and Alonso are in, which means Leclerc and Perez are going to lose time. Let's see what people come out on. If they come out on inters, I've made a very big mistake. But the rain's already deep, and we know we're not in the deepest rain because it's going to get... I've made a mistake. Hang on. There's still time. Oh, there's not still time. There's not still time. I have boned them. That's okay. It'll be fine. We're just looking for more rain. They're going to come out on inters now. You watch. They're going to be out on the track on inters, and I have lost this very heavily unless we get a bigger rain period. But it very clearly says we're looking for heavy rain, and if that's the heaviest the rain's going to get all day, I need to get these boys on inters as fast as I can and hope we can have a recovery drive. I thought the rain was going to get much heavier than that. It turns out my original strategy was the good strategy. So, maybe a mistake has been made. We're going to make a couple of positions up, give us a bit of a buffer, so we should be okay, at least in the respect of we should get past the Haas and probably the Mercedes ahead, which will buy us a little bit of time. But I've definitely screwed up here. Any of those drivers, I think Pourchaire's going to get a pass on this race, I think, because that was my bad. I expected more rain than came, and I didn't get the rain. That's on me. That's fine. We're going to zoom forward, hope we get a good stop here, and hopefully get out in a respectable position. It's not worked out because Piastri is now an 18th. Okay, we've got a long slog ahead of us. Something's gone. I forgot to put the new engine in. Guys, you know, when I was decent at getting results last season, I may have screwed Piastri because that gearbox isn't making it to the end by any way, shape or form. I've got to go push on this stint regardless because I cannot get places if I don't. But I've definitely hurt the boys' races. Piastri's made a move, which is good. Hopefully he can make a couple more places. I feel like we'd be further up the field if I put the new engine in, or at least put a new gearbox in. It's going to save us a gearbox for the next race, but I feel like we'd have got points today if I'd not made that mistake. Pourchaire is doing nothing to overtake Sonoda, which a little bit embarrassing, if I'm honest. Maybe he won't save himself in this race because, you know, you can only work with the tools you're given. Yeah, I gave him a terrible strategy. We've got a crash, which is nice. It's going to bring the field together if we get a safety car, and you usually do when it's a multiple car crash. We'll have a little look at it because that usually leads to a safety car unless it's the safest multiple car crash in the world. So the Haas has done something to the Alpha Tauri. I mean, it's helped because Sonoda will drop back. Just a penalty, so neither of them are out of the race, apparently. Which, you know, didn't see it coming, gotta be honest. But at least it's given Pourchaire a couple of free positions, and now Piastri are looking for a move on Guan Yu Zhou. So that could be interesting. I was really hoping that would lead to a safety car, bring the field together, and we might have had a fighting chance. But we're not going to bring the field together. We're not going to get that fighting chance. We're just going to have to keep pushing through regardless. Hope for the best. Sonoda and Stroll room. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 1, which isn't going to lead to anything. So, there's lapping going on already. The back two already lapped. Guan Yu Zhou has had a moment. Tyres are getting warm, which is okay. It's given Pourchaire a gap. He's currently chasing down George Russell. So, you know, we're in with a car. We're just behind a car who should have a chance of passing you. But of course, all things equalise a little bit when it starts raining. My hope is that we're having a big push on these tyres now, and hopefully we can bring it. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Pourchaire down to standard. We'll bring both drivers down to standard. Extend this stint ever so slightly because I think Pourchaire behind George is probably stuck, but also maybe making time. George has got Albon in front of him holding him up, which is a real issue. Maybe what we'll do, we'll go on board with Pourchaire. We'll give him the benefit of some overtake mode because that could be a winner here. You never know. Use some overtake, give it a big push, see if we can get past both these guys, get ourselves in some clear air, and we might have a chance of moving up back towards Piastri, because Albon is never going to catch Piastri. It's just not going to happen. He won't catch our car. He's not really in a fast enough vehicle. So, if we can make this work, we might be in with a fighting chance of getting ourselves through to the end, although not by using all of the overtake. That's not helped. We've got to make a pass here. George has got to make a pass. It's a little bit embarrassing that we're not making this pass. It might even be an idea if he'll get further that we'll do the undercut on the inters, get Pourchaire to the end. Hopefully he'll have enough speed to get past Russell on the fresh rubber, and we should be in a strong position. So we'll go forward a little bit till we get to what's now our new pit window. In fact, before we do that, let's go on board just for a second so I can go into strategy view, work out where that new pit window comes, because I think we're going to a new stint on inters. That's an almost certainty. And let's look at where that window is. It's lap 31 to make that work. It's going to be really tight for Piastri. It might have to be a double stint on inters, which would screw him. So, well, probably going to need to really conserve with Piastri, and I guess Pourchaire will make it, because Pourchaire, as I said in his tyres, actually a bit of a legend. Actually a bit of a legend on the old tyres, so that should be fine. Let's go to inters there. If we medium from here on out, we're looking at about, yeah, we should be on the curve there. So, okay, that works. And we'll select that strat there. We'll have another look at Piastri's strat, just so I can see what his curve looks like with the predicted. It's going to be close. I think we're going to have to conserve a little bit with Pourchaire, which will bring Albon back towards us, but I think for the best long term in the race, because he will catch Magnussen on the fresh rubber, and we should get both cars out ahead of Stroll, which is what we're really aiming to do. So we'll keep pushing forward. Hopefully we'll see a pass from Pourchaire at some point. There's a big crash in sector 1, which tells me we're looking at optimal time if a safety car comes out. I'd say we're in the safety car window. So we'll look at this crash, see what's happening with it. Take a look at the replay. It's another Haas. In fact, it's going to be the same two drivers, isn't it? It absolutely was the same two drivers. Because I think that's the only Haas and AlphaTauri together on track. It was once again, that was Tsunoda and Stroll involved in that absolute disaster class, which is going to buy us even more time. Gotta love it. Excellent. We've definitely got a clear window now to get ourselves into behind Guan Yu Zhou. We're just going to have to keep dipping forward. Those guys aren't coming into the pit, so the damage can't be too... They must have been sort of near a pit window anyway, you'd assume. Hopefully, it will be good. I think Pourchaire will take another lap, because that feels smart. We're going to take him one lap past this pit window. I mean, they're far enough apart that there's going to be no danger whatsoever that anyone is clashing in their pit windows. So, or the double stack is going to have a clash at least, I should say. So we'll go on board with Pourchaire as we head onto the lap where he should be coming in. Piastri actually looking pretty good on his tyres right now. He should just about make it. We'll push him up as we need to. Tyres are getting warm for Pourchaire. Well, I'm sorry, my friend. I can't do much to help you at this point. It's all about just getting you where we need you to be in that window. So we are going to, first of all, tell Pourchaire to push on everything. I say everything. We're not going to push on ERS. We're in a good place on ERS. We're going to come in for that fresh set of inters that will take us through to the end of the race, which should be nice and smooth. Again, Piastri, have a little push, bud. Get yourself as far up the road as you can, and we'll go on to the new inters with you as well. And hopefully this is going to work out well enough to maybe, if we're really lucky, salvage a point. We're on board with Piastri as he looks to come into the box. So this should be, well, it will be our final stop, because even if we get a safety car, but no reason to come in, it's just going to help us get a little bit more out of these inters and hopefully buy us some track positions that we can hold on to. But Piastri into the box, I'd like a good 2.8 here. It'd be nice. That'd suit me nicely. Good 2.8, exactly what the doctor ordered. And Pourchaire, what can you get out of this, buddy? Another 2.8 would do us just fine and dandy, if I'm quite honest. And we are going to get another... Oh, it's a 2.9. It was close. The boys did well. The boys did good. We're not going to hold it against them. The boys in the pit lane have done very well. I mean, I assume they slowed down a little bit because the tyres were a little bit slippery. We'll give them that. We'll give them that little bit of grace, shall we? The tyres were a bit slippery, and so that's why that happened. All right, let's go zoom mode. We're going to have to check on fuel again. We're going to start catching up on the fresh rubber very, very quickly to the back of George Russell and hopefully have the grip to pass him, which should be nice. We'll drop down to balanced on the fuels for both drivers. Hopefully Piastri's tyres are going to make it. They will. Pourchaire's tyres should make it, because that's what Pourchaire does. We'll be golden. We're already looking to make the move on George Russell, just a couple of laps out the box, so that's how much we've got out of the fresh rubber. Don't know if a few of the drivers up the field will take the hint that maybe now is the time for fresh rubber and do likewise. Guan Yu Zhou has taken the gamble, which is probably a good idea. It'll put Pourchaire back ahead of him, but that's okay, because Piastri now stuck behind George Russell as well. He's going to need to use some overtake at some point. I don't know where that point will be. I don't know how we came out behind Albon. We should have had a good gap to Albon. That's fine. Albon's got to pit at some stage, and we should clear him fairly quickly. Piastri going for his big move now. That's what we like to see. that I think would normally be, that's not what would normally be the DRS zone, that's just coming up here, and hopefully we're going to catch Albon really nicely in this corner, start making some inroads into K-Mag, and then, who knows, there might be something to salvage out of this. It's not impossible there could be something to salvage out of this. Pourchaire's got a 12-second gap to make up on George Russell though, probably a bit out of his wheelhouse if we're completely honest, but we'll see what happens. I mean, we're going very slowly through that corner. Come on, Oscar, you've got to take Albon here. You've just got to do it. You've got no choice. Into this corner, maybe? I mean, it's a tough corner to pass in, but the one we're coming out of, you should get a good run on him down the straight. Can we get a good run on him down this straight, get ourselves into an excellent position? He's just backed off. That looks very mechanical. That looks like the gearbox had a second there, doesn't it? Oh, God. I'm going to have to hold my hands up. I've screwed both these drivers today. I screwed them badly because Piastri's gearbox just decided that enough was enough. We've done enough here. In fact, he's just got past Albon. He backed off because Sainz was lapping him. I was like, why is there a red car there? Just a moment. Why is there a red car right there? That doesn't make any sense at all. Now it makes sense to me. Hopefully, Pourchaire will get past Albon, and it's got to be nearly time for George to come in for a pit stop as well. So we should be in a good kind of middle stage of this race where we can start pulling in some time. We should get ahead of K-Mag in this pit stop, and probably Ocon as well, if we're lucky. Bottas is kind of our ceiling, it looks like, which is fine. We should be back on the lead lap after that pit stop too, which is nice. Gasly comes in ahead of Piastri, but you know, I think we're all right. I think we're quick enough to catch up with Gasly, so we should be okay there. Perez and Alonso have just come out in 4th and 5th. No real change in the leaders ahead of us. Russell comes out behind. Piastri still catching Gasly, which is nice, and Pourchaire is still leaving Albon behind, which is even better. So, you know, we could still be on for at least the finishing bonus we were looking for. And if we can open up a good gap to Albon, and the track dries up, I could have a cheeky crack at the fastest lap. It's probably not going to happen. I should have taken on that first stint with Pourchaire if I was going to go for it. Should have checked the weather before I guaranteed the fastest lap, shouldn't I, really? But you live, you learn. Let's go for some push from both drivers. We've got an extra 0.2 kilos of fuel, plus we are going to get lapped again pretty shortly. So that buys essentially an extra 2 kilos-ish of fuel to play with, which is not too bad. Piastri on the back of Pierre Gasly now. And Pierre Gasly on the back of K-Mag, which is where we kind of hoped we'd get to. So, big push through here, Oscar. You could be good. You could be good for a good push through there. And Pourchaire was keeping himself ahead of Sainz for a little while, which was even better. We're not quite there yet. We're doing okay. Let's go to 2 times mode because it's a slightly quicker way of watching or onboard action. Can we get a place here going down the start-finish straight? That's what we need. Cut inside. Look inside, Oscar. Come on, buddy. The moon's right there. Right there if you want it. Just stick your nose out. Have a look. Have a look. See what's there. Come on, bud. I mean, you're not impressing me. I'll be honest. Not massively impressing me. Maybe it's time. I could have a fuel save because I know we're faster than both these cars ahead of us. There is an argument that's I say a fuel save, a harvest. We are fast enough to get, the distance we need with that. Let's do a push, and we can have a good final 2 or 3 laps where we can maybe execute something smart here, strategy-wise. It's not impossible. Not entirely impossible, anyway. Ocon and Gasly still fighting. Ocon's just past us. That's why they're fighting. I know what's going on. I'm just testing you guys. So we're going to go a couple more laps. Really recharge that battery. Because once we fully charge that battery, like I said, happy days, job's a good one. Let's go overtake, see what we can get out of this, shall we? I think there's a couple more positions to take. K-Mag's been left behind. We know we're faster than a Haas because we've always been faster than a Haas. So if we can get past K-Mag, we'll be laughing. I mean, he defends really well. Fair play to him. you'd want him as your number 2 driver, just the way he defends, honestly. Like, he does do a good job of holding up the cars behind. I will give him that credit. And now, Piastri, on a bit of a tear. He's got no one in front of him to overtake, which should mean that he doesn't use too much ERS over the next lap or so, which is good. Or he is going to start catching up with Ocon as he comes out the corners using that ERS, which is fine. Him catching up with Ocon doesn't trouble me. As long as we can get caught back up to Gasly, I think I'll be quite happy. And we've got the lapped car going through, who's going to kind of slow people down, depending on where he catches people, which is also quite an important thing to keep an eye on. Verstappen should be somewhere just behind Pourchaire at this point. Let's have a little check just to make sure I can math. Just ahead of Pourchaire. Good stuff. Okay, so we're going to drop back to neutral because having Oscar push right now is not helpful. Pourchaire is trying to overtake Magnussen as well. There's a yellow flag in sector 3. Don't know who screwed up there. Don't know if it's going to help us. It's George Russell having a lock-up. It is going to help us because we have to push quite so hard, which is good. We just need to get ourselves past Kevin Magnussen. We get both drivers past Kevin Magnussen, and I feel like we're in our happy place for a while, just to make things work. Oh, Danny Rick's having a pit stop. Vettel's having a pit stop. Lando's having a pit stop. We've got enough tyres to get to the end. Those guys might be putting themselves behind us, which is not really what they want to be doing. If they can put themselves behind Piastri as he comes out, does he come out ahead of them? He's come out ahead of everyone except Danny Rick, but that gives me some incentive to do a big deploy here. We're just going to burn up as much as we can. How are we doing on? We're doing okay on tyres. We can burn a little bit of tyre even. That's nice. That's nice stuff. We'll do similar with Pourchaire, and we'll go Pourchaire to neutral because he's not going to make up as much ground. We can go aggressive on the tyres there as well. Maybe Piastri can just about scrape himself into points because Gasly's currently running in 8th. He's not massively far up the road from us, and if we can get to him and pass him, that is a cheeky point. That's a cheeky point we can salvage. Okay, we'll go back to neutral. We're going to have to drop back on the fuel a bit because I think we've got our lap. We haven't got our lap back. Okay, we can survive a little bit without some fuel. That'll be fine. We're just going to keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. I really hope that's not a dynamic fuel that updates when you get overtaken. I don't think it did. Otherwise, it would have told us we were, up on fuel. So that makes sense. Piastri has just been overtaken by Perez. Not going to help him immensely. Not going to lie. Probably unhelpful. Reminder, points for the top 8. So, it's not the one. But if we can keep following this Red Bull through, Perez has taken the fastest lap of the Grand Prix somehow. In fact, I think I know what's happened here. I think I am going to do a cheeky sacrifice. Cheeky sacrifice of Pourchaire. We're going to put him on a semi-fresh set of softs. And we're going to see if we can steal that fastest lap because the track is drying out. It is drying out. I think we can sneak that fastest lap for Pourchaire. And then that gets us at least a little bit of money. Pourchaire has made himself useful to us because he should be able to get a fastest lap on fresh rubber, fully pushing. And Piastri is just trying to get up to the back of Gasly, realistically. That's what he's looking to do. That's the last lap. He's maybe not going to get a full racing lap in. I may have screwed the pooch with not pitting Pourchaire a lap earlier. But he had nothing to lose because K-Mag is probably not getting out in front of him, I would think, just because of K-Mag's pace. So we should be okay. Let's do a big attack push. Final lap. Make it all good. Big deploy. Let's go for it. Let's see if we can maybe get someone up ahead to make a mistake. Those 3 cars ahead of each other could just hit each other. That would be honestly the ideal. But, you don't get ideal in this sport very often. So, don't know what to tell you. Either way, we'll see what we can do. And that's taken away the fastest lap because he's just gone 2 laps down behind Verstappen. So, that's not coming. That fastest lap is not coming now. But, you know, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. We'll see what we can make of this last lap. We should be okay. Huge gap from Sainz and Verstappen to Leclerc. Massive gap. We've lost DRS. It's fine. We're just pushing for funsies now. See what Porsche can do. Let's have a look at his sector times, just so we can see if he would have done it. Out of curiosity, he's just lost a place to Kevin Magnussen. It's because it started raining again. It's not helped. It's not helped. The track was drying up. It was drying up rapidly, and now it's drying up slowly. And Porsche is not going to get the best out of this. He's probably going to lose a place to Albon, if we're entirely honest. But I tried my best, and you know the lesson is do not try. We finished a second behind Gasly. One more lap. One, maybe two more laps. We could have had that. But it's fine. That is the race over, unfortunately. I think we've given Piastri a fairly respectable showing. I think had we not screwed up that pit stop, we would have had that point, which is really disappointing. There really needs to be a better way when you've got a decent weather centre to gauge how much water the water on the track is, because the only other option you've got essentially is to wait and see how wet it gets, and at that point it can be too late if it's going to wets, which is kind of disappointing. You don't want to just assume inters, you don't want to stay out a lap and let other drivers figure it out. That's just not going to work. Let's look at the result quick then, just so we know what's happened. So Sainz wins the race, Verstappen, then Leclerc, Perez, Alonso, Hamilton, Bottas and Ricciardo, the point scorers. Bottas making a very good case for being our next driver. Same for Alonso. So that's okay. In the Drivers' Championship, we're looking at Leclerc on top, followed by Sainz, who's doing a good job of catching up with that win. Verstappen in third, Perez in fourth, Hamilton in fifth, Alonso in sixth, Gasly in seventh, Russell in eighth, Bottas in ninth, Norris in 10th, Magnussen and Ricciardo in 11th, the final point scorers. Piastri has gone up 2 places into 12th. I guess that's on countback. Porsche has dropped down 2 places into 17th, which again, I assume on countback. And in the constructors, we've gone up into 8th, which I assume is because we've got an 11th place finish, which is nice. So look at the development points, and Piastri has got 1, Porsche has got 1. We can develop our drivers. I really should have sent out David Schumacher like I said I was going to. I completely forgot to hit the button before I started P1. It annoys me you can't send drivers out in P2 or P3. Really does annoy me, but I can't do anything about that now. So, you know, all in the past and all is good. We'll go and assign those development points in just a second once we finally get back into the office. This feels like the longest flight in the world. We've got a new suspension and we've got some money to build it, so we'll start doing that before we do the drivers, otherwise I'll forget and then we'll be all wondering why I didn't build that new suspension. So we will manufacture the... It said suspension, right? Let's check the inbox because I could be an idiot. I could just not be able to read. New suspension design complete, that's what it says. Yeah, we've done the W2 design. Minor technical regs have gone through. Good stuff, that's nice. Nothing else in the inbox. Right, so that went through, and yet for some reason I can't manufacture a new suspension. Oh, it's because I'm already doing the old one. Oops, that's fine. We'll get to it. It'll be fine. Let's start a design though, because that's going to be useful. Where are we looking at? Oh, we've got. Is anything else going to give us some extra low-speed coring? The underfloor we're already doing. I guess another rear wing can't hurt because it will help with cornering at least. We've got no CFD hours, that's fine. I don't mind not using them if I can help it. We're going to focus this on low-speed performance, but we don't want to lose any of our progress there. If we can avoid losing progress there, I'll be quite happy. Marginal gains, that's what we're looking for. Marginal gains, right. Airflow, I never worry about airflow, it doesn't bother me at all. That should hopefully give us a little bit more we can push on with the DRS delta, which could be useful down the line, you would think. Let's say yes, and develop that, put 4 engineers on it. We'll go... I think we're going to go intense. No, we'll go normal. Because if we go intense, I'm spending too much money. As much as it would help us develop parts for the car down the line, that would be a mistake. And we're not going to make silly mistakes. That's our plan. Right, Oscar Piastri. I think, my friend, it is time to work on how you... I'm not sure how you look after tyres, because that's not going to help. I think we need to look at adaptability, because that would have been helpful as the track got wetter last time out, and Porsche needs to look at his accuracy so he stops breaking my things. Nothing for David Schumacher. Anything on the staff side that we can put in? Nothing just yet. That's all good. That is fine. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up the episode there, because that feels like a good time. We'll come back for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola in the next episode, because that's a good time to do it, and hopefully we'll have some nice new shiny suspensions and such not to put on the car, which should help us immensely. Anyway guys, in the meantime, thank you for watching. I've been Chasing Lamely. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do like and subscribe, leave comments down below, share it with your friends, all that good stuff, and until next time, stay safe, have a good one.